Ramily, Ramily, Ramily. Welcome in. Unfortunately, our Rams season ends. Um, but we have a lot to look forward to. 2023-24 was a great season. A lot of adversity, going 3-6, finishing 10-7. Competing in every game. Referees, of course, played a role in a ton of games for us. Um, and there was no difference in the Lions game. Stafford's return to Detroit was great. He lit them up, but unfortunately, the red zone was an issue. Now, Cooper Cup, a guy that I was huge on coming into the postseason, as feel like maybe we were just easing him in and gonna let him just go full go in the playoffs. Really didn't do much against Detroit, and he was open a bunch. There was one pass where Stafford broke out of the pocket, avoided pressure, throws it out of bounds, and Cooper Cup was so open, man. It's just I don't know what happened to that Stafford and Cup magic, but injuries probably playing a big part. He's 30 now. A lot of those things factor in when you hit 30 and you've dealt with a lot of lower leg injuries. You're not going to be as fast as you were. Cornerbacks are going to be more accustomed to what you do. He's still one of the top wide receivers in football, but he is no longer a top five. Rams defense started off slow in this one, could not stop the run, allowing Goff to get plenty of time in the pocket. And that hurt us in that first half. But second half, the defense was great. Kudos to Raheem Morris. Kudos to the run defense. You stop the run, you get pressure on Goff, and good things are happening. They only scored 3 points, but unfortunately, their defense also stepped up to the plate. Now, they scored in the red zone. We kicked field goals. Mauer was making his field goals, but these were short 30-yarders, right? So, it just hurts that we get there, right? We get to the red zone with ease. Drive after drive, Stafford throwing no-look passes, Puka Nacua just dominating. 181 yards this game, most ever for a rookie wide receiver in a playoff game. And he was a fifth-round pick. The man's season just ended as great as it started. Everybody knows Puka now. Everybody knows Puka now. Kyron Williams leaves the game with a broken hand. He ran good. We just didn't give him a lot of carries. This was a Stafford game. Tyler Higbee, it's official, has torn his ACL on a dirty hit below the knees. Second time that Joseph has done this. He did it to TJ Hawkinson as well a few weeks ago. Dirty player. Dirty player. And these Lion fans are horrible. Not sure I've ever interacted with them prior to this week. When we won our Super Bowl, a lot of them were Rams fans. But wow, they are super obnoxious for a team that just won its first playoff game since 1991. Super low blows. Don't really need to get into it, but very disappointed with not all of their fan base, but the ones that I have interacted with. So now the Rams, they lose a 1-point game to Detroit. What does that mean? What is next for the Rams, right? Last year we really didn't know, but this year we know Stafford's coming back. McVay's back. Donald's back. Cup will be back, will not be traded. He's making way too much money, and we cannot trade him. Right? So, the core is intact. Difference is, the Rams have cap now. The Rams have a full arsenal of draft picks. We have our first-round pick. Finally, 19th overall. Um, Crazy to think that the Rams have a first round pick, but how long will that last for? The 19th overall pick, there's a ton of talent out there, but if we can use that pick, because the Panthers might franchise tag Brian Burns, I doubt they let him just walk away when they were offered first round picks from us for nothing. So they do franchise him. We're gonna have to send him something and then pay him. So that first round pick for Brian Burns, Josh Allen's out there, Chase Young for the 49ers, but he really has not impressed me since he's come to San Fran. Um, I'll take him at a discount, but those guys are on uh, the top of the list more so. Josh Allen, Brian Burns. Of course, I'm gonna get into the free agency more off season. We're gonna look at everything, but this is just stuff on January 17th that is coming to mind, and I have a lot of ideas, but we'll see what comes to fruition. I'm also interested in Patrick Surtain from Denver Broncos. I would move that first round pick for someone like that as well. Um, those are the big needs. Edge, cornerback one. Now we need to bring back guys like Kevin Dotson, Akello Witherspoon. Big priorities there. Those two guys need to be back. Jordan Fuller, because we're probably going to lose John Johnson. So Fuller is a big part of this defense. Bring him back so we don't have to go out looking for a safety or draft a safety, because it's not easy to find a serviceable safety. Center, we may need to look for that. At least start developing Brian Allen, Joseph Noteboom. If we cut them, we're going to have close to $20 million in cap just off that. I'm cool with that. Joseph Noteboom is a good depth guy, but the amount of money we can save by cutting him, I think we need to cut ties and do that. Demarcus Robinson, two Owls out there, two still on the contract, but he might want to be moved. His role really diminished. He did catch a touchdown against the Lions, but his snap percentage was so low. He might want a bigger role with another team. Demarcus Robinson, if we could bring him back on a team-friendly deal, I'm all for it. Big names at wide receiver that we can look at: Chris Godwin, T. Higgins. That's a guy that I would love to bring in, but at what cost? So the Rams have a great outlook. 2024, next year, they'll definitely be maybe the favorites in the NFC. Them, 49ers, I would say would be the two favorites. Let's see what they do. But the Rams make some moves with their roster already. They already have. The media is already going to love us for that, for just going 10-7 with all these rookies. So that's what's going to happen in the offseason. Now, this season was great. So it started after the draft, right? There was the tank for Caleb. There was the hopefuls that people said, oh, you're just biased. Myself and a few others did have us winning 10 or more games, 9 games, making the playoffs. But a lot of people, Vegas had us at 6.5 wins. Some cite 7.5. The Rams smashed that. Started in Seattle. A big statement win against the Seahawks in Seattle, who just made the playoffs and were talked about as a team to contend for the NFC West. Beat them 30-13. And then we go to San Fran comes to LA. Close game. We lose it by a touchdown. The Rams were competing. Then they got into a little slide. And then the Stafford injury. That was horrible. Head into the bye week, we just witnessed Brett Ripon in Green Bay get smoked. Daryl Henderson at running back. Things looked gloomy. Things looked gloomy. 3-6. We weren't sure Stafford was coming back after the bye week. 3-6. People assumed, oh, the Rams are just going to hang it up. Tank for Caleb Williams. Tank for Dre May. Probably wouldn't even have to have tanked if we stuck with Brett Ripon. But what did the Rams do? They said Stafford's coming back after the bye, and they brought in Carson Wentz. This is when the momentum started to shift. All right, you know what? This is it. Kyren Williams is coming back week 12 after our bye week, the week after. But we could beat Seattle. If we could beat Seattle, go to 4-6 and get Kyren Williams back with a healthy Stafford, we're looking good. And the Rams got hot. 7-1 those next 8 games. Like, who would have thought? We had San Fran on the schedule, the Ravens, the Browns, Seattle, the Saints. The Rams got it done. They showed heart. They wanted it. And that stuff is better than taking for a quarterback because that stuff shows your organization is about winning. And the Rams really were about winning all year. They gave it their all up until this last game as well. You know, obviously the referees played a big part, but you score in the red zone, even a touchdown instead of the field goal, you win, right? That's simple. Score 3 touchdowns, it's really a blowout. Ford Field, everyone would be in shambles. But you can't just kick field goals versus a top 5 offense. And you can't have a bad defensive first half like that. And the offense was keeping up with the Lions. And then the second half, it was just a complete switch for both teams. It's wild. It's adjusting. It's football. It's playoff football. Once they see what you're doing, the good defensive coordinators, Aaron Glenn and Raheem Morris are both good defensive coordinators, will make the adjustments. And that's what happened. Content for the off season, I will still be making content. You know, maybe some random videos, shorts, highlights, you know, do some live videos so you guys can hop in the chat. Ramily, it doesn't stop here. The show goes on, but now we root against the 49ers. Keep them out of the Super Bowl, and we'll be all right. Ramily. Thank you all for tuning in. Take care of yourself. Take care of your loved ones. Your boy Ramsaholic, and I'm out.